What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my Week 5 NCAA football power rankings. Before I get into it, we got to talk about dropping from the rankings. And I have Syracuse dropping from the rankings. Obviously, that loss to Stanford at home on Friday was not a good look. And then in the others receiving votes, yeah, I have BYU. I don't have them ranked in my power rankings just yet. I don't overreact for one win. I like to see what they do the next week to see if this team is legit. Same goes for A&M, Washington State, UNLV, and Boston College. I did have in there that win at Michigan State, I think, is going to be a good win for them when it's all said and done at the end of the year, but it just wasn't enough for me to put them in right now. In 25 is Kansas State, and I'm not taking out Kansas State for the fact that it was their first road game. Avery Johnson and the team just didn't show up, and if they lose this week, then yeah, I'm dropping them out of the rankings. They deserve to be dropped out, and that's why I didn't take them out, because I'm not going to take them out, and then if they win this game at home, put them back in. It just seems like the writing's on the wall here for K-State. They got to win this game. If they even want a chance at the Big 12 is what it feels like because that early loss sucks. And now you get Oklahoma State who's coming off a loss. So that's going to be a huge game this week. 24 is Nebraska. And I'm not taking them out either because Illinois came into their place and played some good football. And so did Nebraska. Nebraska played really well. Raiola had one throw late in the fourth, had a man wide open in the end zone for a touchdown, and he just overthrew him. And that's the difference in this game. They would have won that game. I think there was like a minute something left, and they had a kick field goal settle, and it worked out for Illinois in the end. But Nebraska is going to be a good football team this year. I picked this team to go 11-1, and I think the ceiling is 11-1, obviously at this point, but don't expect them to be worse than 9-3. Arizona moves up two because of the bye, and some teams losing, but they get Utah on the road this week. Big game for them. They lose that, they're definitely falling out. 22, Iowa. And I don't know why they're not ranked. Honestly, in the AP poll, one loss shouldn't define this Iowa team. It's still a good team. The defense is going to show up. Caleb Johnson is going to carry this team. They head into the bye week, 3-1, probably not where they want to be. They'd love to be 4-0. Obviously, beating Iowa State, they would love to have back. This Iowa team, man, they're going to finish probably 10-2 and find their way almost either in the playoff or a chance to get in the Big Ten championship. Oklahoma falls six in my power rankings with that loss to Tennessee. I wasn't surprised that they lost this game, but changing quarterbacks halfway through was a kind of surprise. Arnold was struggling, I get it, in the first three games, so maybe Michael Hawkins is the answer for moving forward. But man, look at their schedule after this Auburn game. Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Bama, and LSU. They might finish 6-6 at best, if I'm gonna be completely honest. Yeah, OU fans don't want to hear that right now after a loss too. I'm kicking them while they're down, but Oklahoma, man, they need to figure out that quarterback problem, or it might even be worse than 6-6. 20s Illinois, obviously, like I said, they beat Nebraska on the road, and now they get to try to do the same thing over again, go on the road and beat Penn State. And if they can do that, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind this team is jumping up into my top 10. They're great coach, got a great coach right now. Luke Altmaier is playing some good football, and the defense is looking really good as well. So Illinois maybe could be that surprise team in the Big Ten that makes a run. Iowa State, big win at home against Arkansas State, pretty expected there. Team totaled 5 rushing touchdowns, so they ran through them. Probably is going to destroy Houston here, just because Houston, they did give Oklahoma fits, but I think Houston isn't that good of a football team. 18th Clemson, Klubnik obviously had a great game, 45 points in the first half, and Maffa 7 attempts, 100 yards, through touchdown. Ashton Hampson with a pick six. I could go on and on, but Clemson just took it to them in the rivalry game. They get Stanford this week at home and could be a really good ACC football game if Stanford comes to play like they did against Syracuse. 17th Oklahoma State. And the only thing to come out of this game is Ollie Gordon just didn't show up in this one. They gave it a ride in the last 4 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. They're on 22-3, lost 19-22. So if they played like that the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, Oklahoma State might have won this game, but they just couldn't figure it out. Get Kansas State on the road. They lose that one. It's like K-State. If either of these, whoever loses this game is probably dropping out of my rankings. 16's Notre Dame, and this time the MAC did not get the best of them. The offense didn't really do too much. It's the Riley Leonard show yet again, and now we get to really see what they're made of against probably the best opponent they've played in Louisville. If they can beat Louisville, then I think they're going to move up again and really kind of put that Northern Illinois loss behind them. But if they lose this one, there's going to be concern for the Irish moving forward that they might not be able to get into the playoff. And Louisville comes in at 15 with a big win over Georgia Tech. The defense played great to get their first ACC win. Tyler Show didn't have to do too much through the air, but 270 yards only on 13 passes is really good. And like I said, this Notre Dame game for Louisville means more, I think, because it is a non-conference game and you can get that nice non-conference win. That's always boosting that schedule. And the ACC is kind of weak this year, so that a big Notre Dame win on that schedule would look good. 14's LSU. UCLA gave them a run in the first half, but just pulled away in the second. Harold Perkins got hurt in the win, so hopefully it's not too severe where he can return, but Nussmeier is looking good so far, and I expect them to get a big win against South Alabama this week. 13's USC. They had this game won, but the defense just couldn't pull it out late in the fourth. And I even took USC as a Michigan fan. I thought they were going to win this game. They played really good, but Lincoln Riley defense never fails to let you down. They got a rebound this week at home against Wisconsin, who is a stingy good team. Michigan at 12. Obviously, they're moving up because of that win at home and obviously ahead of USC. They get Minnesota this week. Think the quarterback is figured out? I don't know. Alex Orji didn't do too much, but he didn't do anything wrong. And I think that's why Michigan won this game. If he would have threw a pick, fumbled, then maybe it's the other story. USC comes into the big house and gets a big win. But you got to thank Khalil Mullins and Donovan Edwards. Obviously, these two guys carried the team in this one, and obviously Will Johnson as well with that pick six, which was very surprising. But man, if they can run the ball like this against any team, Michigan, they might go to the playoff without a quarterback. 11, Penn State, nothing really much to say here. Big day, shutout win. Finally get a good opponent this week in Illinois and a must-see game. Falling all the way to 10, even with a win, is Missouri, and I had high hopes for this team, but Vandy is definitely a lot better than I think people are giving them credit for. Man, this team should have had this game won way before overtime. Their kicker missed three field goals, but he made up for it with the field goal in double overtime. Brady Cook played good, Nate Noel played good, Burden played good, but this team just couldn't figure it out when it mattered in regulation. But good teams find a way to win games, and that's what Missouri did. Nine's Miami. They destroyed USF on the road. Cam Ward looks great. That Heisman campaign is looking pretty good at this point. And they get Virginia Tech this week in ACC play. I expect them to get a win there, and this Miami team's looking like the real deal. Utah, same thing, real deal. Isaac Wilson, two picks, but a touchdown. And they did enough to win this game because of Mike Bernard in that run game was very reliable. Arizona this week, big game. If they can get them, Utah might finish 12 and 0 and could be the number one team in the conference, go heading into the Big 12 championship. Alabama at 7. They're not doing anything coming out of their bye week, but man, this week Georgia at home. You want to prove that you're past the Nick Saban era and you guys can win big games still. This is a great test for them this week. 6 is Oregon. They fall victim to teams winning and they drop a spot here to 6, but they get their first Big Ten match, which is actually against their old Pac-12 opponent in UCLA. 5 is Ohio State. They win against Marshall. It's expected. Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, good games yet again. And they get Michigan State this week, which I think could be a tougher game for them. Obviously, it's the toughest opponent they played. I still expect them to win this game, but Michigan State could give them fits, and it could be a closer game in the fourth than people think. 4 is Tennessee, and of course, I'm moving them up here. The Vols looked really good. Nico Mali Ava. I still can't pronounce it. I'm getting better. I'm trying. But he played great in this one. Didn't do anything wrong, and that's why Tennessee won this game. Dylan Sampson, another great game as well. But the defense played really well in this one on the road, and it kind of was a home game, is what it felt like. If you saw some pictures and some chants that Tennessee fans showed up to this one, they head into the bye. I think couldn't be any happier where they are right now. And I believe they get Bama out of the bye. It's either the next week or the week after that they get Bama. But Tennessee right now, it's all in front of them. They just got to keep on winning. Ole Miss, same thing for them. This team, another dominant win. No more non-conference schedule, so they finally get an SEC opponent this week in Kentucky. And Kentucky gave Georgia fits on the road. I get it. Georgia was on the road, but if you can give Georgia fits, maybe Kentucky's going to give Ole Miss some fits here. Jackson Dart probably with his real first competition this year. 2 is Georgia. Man, like I said, they get Bama this week on the road in Alabama. Are they going to keep the streak going, get their 43rd consecutive regular season win and 29th SEC win, or is Bama going to snap the streak this week? I think Carson Beck is going to have a great day if Georgia wants to win that game. Nat one, of course, I have Texas yet again. Arch Manning with the early pick and then played well after that, and then another later pick, but it didn't really matter at that point. But Jaden Blue was the star in this one. Four total touchdowns, 25 attempts, 120 yards, three rushing, one touch, and one receiving touchdown. They get Mississippi State in kind of a warm-up SEC game because they're one of the worst teams in the SEC. But that's going to be it for my Week 5 power rankings. Check back next week to see if your team made the cut. Until next time, the Bench Buddies are out.